What's up, 12s? Thanks for joining us today on the Seahawks Collective presented by Hog Media. I'm AB Hasselbeck, joined by Seattle's best insiders, Brian Nemhauser, the Hawk blogger, Michael Dugar covering the Hawks for The Athletic, and Rob Staton from the Seahawks Draft blog. And we got a fun show for you all today because the Hawks have won 9 straight road games. So we'll break that all down and get you ready for Monday Night Football. The Hawks host CJ Stroud and the Texans. So drop any questions you have for these guys because they're the experts. Use them. They're here for you for a full hour on a Tuesday night. We'll do our best to get to them. But I have to start just I talked a little bit off air with these guys about how exciting it is to be in Boston with the Patriots doing so well and the success that Drake May has had. But I am jealous of just the excitement that's going on with the Mariners and Seattle, just the postseason right now. So for Brian and Mike, what has it been like to be a Seattle sports fan in Seattle right now with the Mariners?
Well, I don't want to speak for Mike because I've been actually one of the things I've enjoyed is not only the Mariners winning and the Seahawks winning and looking good, but Mike Dugar, becoming curious about the Mariners, asking questions, we're having conversations, and that's what it's all about. It's bringing more people into the fold. My wife today, Rachel, said if they make the World Series, I'm allowed to get her some Mariners gear that she can wear to work. So that's her threshold of when she'll be in. And what's really cool is anybody that's ever loved sports, you don't love sports alone. You love sports. It's best when you're in a bar, when you're in a stadium, wherever, with other people experiencing this shared thing together. And even just seeing the clips of people in Victory Hall or all these bars around Seattle just erupting together when the Mariners were winning, that's awesome. And I think one of the things we'll maybe talk about in this episode is I think there's at least a little bit of a chance that they're going to do something in Seattle that you might be a little familiar with, AB, where Boston was getting all these championships from every different team. Your dad was telling me this morning, they stopped letting people out of school for all the championship parades because they were having too many of them. I think Seattle
spoiled out here. The kids in Boston are spoiled with the championships. They're at least the people that I grew up with because my dad was playing for the Colts. So I did kind of middle school in Indiana, came to Boston for high school, and they had just, they're in the middle of it all. And I'm freaking out. I didn't even grow up a Pats fan. I'm excited to experience this. So you are so right. It's you become numb to it when you experience it too much. So I hope the kids in Seattle get to experience something that maybe they haven't ever.
Yeah, that would be wild. I don't know if this city could handle it, and I'd love to see them try.
Mike, what's been the most fun part for you?
Yeah, I'm a big I think a lot of things in baseball are weird, so I like to ask questions about the origins of them in the media room when we're all just sitting there chilling. What's the most recent one I asked? I think maybe about why all the parks are different sizes because I do find that weird. But anyway, that's cool. To just be able to talk baseball in October. Talk to Mariners on October, I guess. The other thing, to Brian's point about the community part, one of my homies in a group chat, he's like one of those people who he loves all Seattle sports, but lives and dies by the Mariners. In the middle of May, he'll be all sad if they lose a game to the Orioles or something. That's him. He didn't know what to say after the 15-inning game, and I was just like, don't say anything, man. Just listen to this, just on repeat till you fall asleep. And it was the roar of the crowd on the Jorge hit. I was just like, just listen to it. That's it. That's why you're all sad half the time, and now you're just speechless. And the last thing, again, to Brian's point, on my flight home, Monday night I was coming from Atlanta, and it was while the game was on, and everyone's on the plane watching the game. Even the lady next to me was like, "Hey, is the game on Fox?" Because she saw me watching it, so she could put it on her little screen on this Delta flight. And every time the Mariners do something good, the whole plane is going nuts. So to just be dead silent on this long flight too, 5-hour flight. So just dead silent. All of a sudden, woo, woo, and, just every time, and that was really cool. Julio's bomb, the other bomb, just everything. Every time they're getting out of an inning, that was dope. I've never seen anything like that before for any Seattle sports, where just the whole plane is just going nuts like that. That was pretty cool. So to have that for the Mariners is dope.
I can totally agree. I think those like shared experience in sports are some of the most awesome times ever. That might seem like so nonchalant, but Brian, the way that you were explaining it, you're like, sports brings everyone together, whether you're at a bar or you're in the game. Like I was like, this feels like a Super Bowl commercial. So maybe pitch that description of how you laid that out to people. But I gotta go to Rob because we're getting some Cougar love for you, just the people that are seeing your hat. So give us the update on their season so far. I haven't been paying attention.
Well, I'm not a Coug. I mean, I can't give you too much on that. I mean, I'm not. I mean, Michael Sean will be much better on to describe how the Cougs are getting on. Although they had a close game at the weekend, I believe, against Ole Miss.
You can't ask Rob. He is one of the people that has been brought into the Mariners. He was up. How late were you up watching that 15-inning game, Rob?
Well, there's a couple of Mariners things. So first of all, when I went to the Mariners game, they were losing, and Robbie, who I was with, my friend, said it's your fault that the Mariners are losing, and I agreed with him. And
we can always blame anything on Rob, if it seems like.
Well, here's the thing, because they have the hydro race thing on the screen at T-Mobile Park, is it? Well, they had that on, and I said, the yellow hydro thing is going to win. And not only is it going to win, this is going to be the turning point of the fortunes of my time in Seattle being a jinx and the Mariners and the Seahawks. And the yellow hydro thing won. So we both said, that's it. That's the turning. It's happened. The Mariners then went on to win that game. The Seahawks have lost the game since then, but they did go on a 3-game winning streak. And we were saying during the after the game yesterday that we expect a championship ring off the Mariners if they go on and win the World Series, because clearly the hydro race thing was the jinx breaker. And then the other thing was, Brian mentioned I stayed up to watch the game, and I didn't watch it. I watched it on ESPN. They have the play-by-play thing, because I don't have a subscription to the channel in the UK that shows the baseball. It's on a niche channel, so I couldn't watch it. So I was tracking it because everyone's interested in the Mariners. So I thought I'm going to jump on the bandwagon here and I'm going to follow what's going on. So I don't really understand baseball, but I was kind of watching what was happening. And then somebody sent me a message when I mentioned I was doing this. Somebody in England said, "Listen, I've got an account." Subscription.
This is what we're talking about. Sports brings people together, man.
He said,
baseball
I'm not
in England.
He says, I'm not staying up. So do you want to use my login and you can watch it? And I was like, yeah. So then I watched it. But I was working the next day. But when you get into like the 13th inning and you've stayed up till 5 o'clock in the morning, you're thinking, well, I'm here now. I might as well watch to the end. And then like another inning would go by. And it's like, is this going to go on till like 10 a.m.? Like, am I actually going to get any sleep? And then, it finally finished. And then I was like, oh, great. And then I went to bed at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'd stayed up till 6 o'clock in the morning to watch a baseball game. Like, what is this? I don't even follow baseball. So that's kind of how it's kind of brought me in. And I watched the game yesterday, and I will watch the rest of the games. And I'm all in now as a fair weather Mariners fan.
Oh, shoot. I feel kind of bad for not starting with you, Rob. I just assumed that you wouldn't be on the Mariners. But if you're taking, till 6 a.m. to stay up and watch the game, like, we're coming right back to you next week.
I was very tired.
In honor of the Mariners, we're going to put a little twist on how we just analyze where the Seahawks are after week 6 and what you've seen from this team. So I got 3 baseball terms for you, just to give one thing that represents that baseball term. The first one, it's going to be home run, second strikeout, third going into extra innings. So for the first one, your home run, something that without a doubt the Seahawks have scored on this season and have going on right now. Brian, I'll start with you.
Home run. Well, I don't know how. I mean, I feel kind of fortunate to be the first one on this, because going from what was potentially looking like the worst quarterback in the NFL this year to the best quarterback in the NFL. And this is coming from somebody who's a Geno Smith fan. So this is not meant to just throw shade at Geno. But I don't know if you can make a more impactful move in any sport than moving on from an aging quarterback who is not playing well to a young quarterback in his prime that is playing better than he's ever played before and better than almost any other player. Statistically, is playing better than any other player in the sport, and to do it without giving up anything. I think that's a home run. And going to work on a separate article on this, but I think this offseason in general for John Schneider and the Seahawks is in the conversation for the best offseason between free agency, draft, coaching changes, Clint Kubiak, maybe the best in the history of the franchise. Whether or not they win a Super Bowl, independent of that, it could be in that conversation depending on how things end up.
I love that point just about what they did in free agency. And I'm right there with you with the Darnold. So sorry, I did give it to Brian. You guys are able to say Sam Darnold as well. But Mike, for you, what's your home run so far this season?
Oh, I think you're on mute, Mike.
Oh, Mike, you're on mute.
Oh,
there we go.
You lost your audio.
It's usually me who does
All right,
that.
Rob. Rob, to you. What's your home run?
Well, my home run is trading Geno Smith and acquiring Sam Darnold. No, I mean, look, Brian said it. It's the home run, and it has to. I always feel like more for tempting fate, touch wood, and all of that. That Geno Smith had a fantastic first. I can't remember how many games it was in 2022, and then he went to I went to Germany. The Seahawks went to Germany, and the wheels kind of fell off, and then. He definitely had some games where he won there were games last season that he won it practically on his own. Like the win in New England was a good example of that. The Seahawks do not win that game, but if it wasn't for Geno Smith. So it's not that he was terrible after the Munich game, but he never quite reached the heights of the first sort of half of the 2022 season. So I'm a bit wary that Darnold might do the same thing, that he might be great for 8 or 9 games, and then he might go back to being a lesser version of what we're seeing. But undoubtedly, just look at the way he's playing, and as someone who has to spend every single, well, I don't have to, I do it because I'm a sad act. Like someone who watches as much college football as I do to write about it in my spare time. And you always end up watching the quarterbacks. Like I don't think the Seahawks are going to draft a quarterback next year, but I've ended up watching all of the quarterbacks again this weekend because it's just interesting to see how hard it is becoming to find quarterbacks in college football. To look at the names that Mel Kiper has listed on his big board today, and I don't think any of them are first-round picks, and yet they're like the first overall player on his board and the third overall player on his board. I mean, anybody who watched that Oregon-Indiana game of the weekend cannot suggest for a second that either of the quarterbacks are first-round picks who played in that game. It is impossible almost to find good quarterbacks. It's harder and harder. So to find one in this way, who is 28 years old, who is at a reasonable cost, who is like come in and is immediately delivering at this level, is the ultimate home run. And if he continues to play like this, then the Seahawks can we call them a contender? I mean, look, I feel like there's probably about 14 contenders in the NFC, so it's wide open. But they're one of the teams that are there. And when you watch some of the bad quarterbacks in the NFL at the weekend, I mean, watching Cooper Rush play for the Ravens at the weekend was painful. Like when you have to watch stuff like that, to think that the Seahawks have got someone who can actually get the job done is what a relief.
It is exciting. Mike, do we have you yet? Do we know?
Yeah, you should now.
Oh, perfect. All right. What's your home run?
Yeah, I actually wasn't even going to pick Darnold had I got him first. Maybe I should have, I guess. But one that I feel sample size is the reason, as Rob kind of alluded to, would be the reason. Because I remember vividly all that 2022 Geno stuff, and a lot of players who have played well and then just kind of hit a wall. One I do feel good about, though, given the small sample size, is Gray's Abel. That feels like a home run. I don't think that's going to tail off there. And if it does, it would be like Abe kind of hit a wall after playing Crosby, I think that rookie year, and he might have got hurt too, but like that was like late December, and even then Abe's still like a really good right tackle, so even him just not being like super excellent like he was the first couple months, he's still really, 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 really good. I think Gray is going to be the same thing. I like what I see now. I think he's just going to be really good. It was an obvious pick to make. John made it, which he doesn't always do. Credit to him. And then, I just think 6 games in, I'm like, this is going to work. This is going to be just like I felt watching Abe and Charles through their rookie years. I was like, yep, you have to pay both of these guys. They look good. Seahawks are going to have to pay Gray years from now because that's working. And it's making the offense work. Like his numbers are good. I'm not going to spout off a bunch of O-line numbers currently, but like Gray's numbers are good. The tape is good. He's playing well next to Charles. He's sorting out games and stunts and stuff. Like it's just good stuff. It's really good. Usually when on Mondays for like the last, I don't know, 6 or 7 years or whatever, however long I've been watching film regularly, I'm usually going to the O-line first for the most part, unless some of those like Ken Norton, Clint Hurt years, I'd watch the defense. But if I was watching the offense, it'd be like, all right, let me see what was the problem today for Russ or Gino or whoever. I haven't done that all year, like I watched the game live and I'm like, oh, these guys were good. Let me go watch something else. Gray's a big part of that. So yeah, he'd be my home run. One that I feel very confident about being the home run a month from now, 2 months from now, 2 years from now. I'm already sold on that.
Nice. You keep him in the lineup and making your film sessions a lot more fun. So Rob, for you, the second one, the strikeout, something that has maybe just been a swing and a miss and maybe a letdown so far this season. You're not counting it completely out, but something that has been a strikeout for you with the Seahawks.
Yeah, it's this thing I've been talking about since the Buccaneers game. I just don't understand. Like I've kind of tried to work out in my head why they have $22 million, why they have $70 million next year. If you calculate the cap hits for all of the players they're going to have to extend in the first year, they do not need to roll over $22 million. They do not need $70 million next season. I can't work out why they're in this position unless they've just decided that the players who were available from March until now just have not been worth it. I mean, I would argue otherwise because, even someone that they had in the building, and Rasul Douglas is playing a lot better than any of the cornerbacks that Seattle have used in the last few weeks. So they had him in. They obviously didn't think he was a fit. Why could they not have done more? It seems to me like that this team is that close, to being possibly 5-0. Right? No. Is it 4-2 now? They are. Yeah,
4-2.
My maths is so bad. So that it's 6.
That's why we're here. That's why we're here on a podcast,
6.
Rob. Don't
we
worry
got you,
about
Rob.
it.
So they could be. I mean, look, it's not beyond the realms of possibility. They could be 5-1 or 6-0. Certainly, I think they'd be at the Buccaneers with just a little bit more in that secondary, and I don't really understand why they haven't done that. Like, there's such an opportunity here now that I'm kind of writing articles saying here's 5 players they could trade for. Well, if they'd have just done a bit more in March, then they wouldn't need to trade for anybody. So why? Like, that's the strikeout for me. Like, you've got the money. The money's not tight. Why have you not done a bit more to have a bit more depth to be in the position where, the Seahawks could be top? They could be top 3 in all these power rankings that are coming out today instead of 10th. Like that, it just, to me, I don't understand that. I can't work it out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the Seahawks do if that when the trade deadline comes. But for you, Mike, what is your strikeout for something the Seahawks have had a swing and a miss on so far this season?
Yeah, mine is another one I feel confident in saying now, based on just even with the small sample, is the Jalen Milroe package thing. Like I was out on that from draft night, so that was a strikeout the minute I heard the plan, or even the minute that they took him, to be honest, just because I didn't think he was a scheme fit. But even aside, I was like, I don't see the whole value in inserting him randomly, whether even if it wasn't a goal line, short yard. We talked about this before. So yeah, I'm good if Jalen never plays another snap while Sam is healthy. I would be perfectly fine with that. I think that's actually best for the team. That's probably also best for Jalen too, if his usage is going to be random wildcat-ish type of gimmicky play. Now, if they're blowing somebody out by 30 and he plays, obviously that's different than what I'm suggesting. But yeah, that was a weird thing on draft night. It was weird during camp how we never really saw any of the Jalen plays. So it's like, when were you repping them? It's not like they had closed practices that we couldn't see. Right? We were watching all of their reps for the day and seeing no Jalen plays. So that was weird. So you didn't rep them until like late August. So weird. So yeah, there's not that many strikeouts, I would say, options here for this answer, but Jalen is an obvious one for me.
Or they were just doing it during the NMPs, the non-media practice, Mike, and they just did not want you guys to see it during training camp. But Brian, what is your strikeout?
Well, Mike took the one that I think is the only legitimate strikeout, to be honest. I think you've got a top 5 offense, a top 5 defense, top special teams. I could pick on a few positions, and I will, because I'll give a different answer than Mike. But the only true strikeout is that Milroe package. It looked like a sore thumb. It just stuck out from everything else that, has been going on. That stuck out as just like, what's going on here? And why is this being used? And why is it being used there? But I won't double down on Mike's. I'll go with another one, which maybe a foul ball, I will call it.
Okay. We like it. Extra credit for the different term.
The lack of additions at the inside linebacker group. And I didn't understand it going into through the free agency period, through the offseason. I didn't understand why they were so comfortable with Patty O'Connell and Drake Thomas being really their only plans behind Tyrese Knight if that didn't work out. And Tyrese Knight has been benched, essentially. He was out this last game, and Drake Thomas took all the snaps. Now, Drake Thomas, the reason it's a foul ball is Drake Thomas has not been terrible. But from a just roster management and planning perspective, I don't understand why a team and a defense that is so reliant on middle of the field players and linebackers in particular, and a coach that specializes in linebackers, did not add more competition. Even if Drake Thomas would have won out still, great. But you got undrafted free agents. That's all you have behind Tyrese Knight and Ernest Jones. And I don't think that made a lot of sense. And they're not costly to acquire. They're not hard to find. You can get them in late rounds or for cheap money. That to me is at least a foul ball. Let's hope Drake Thomas, or as a buddy of mine, Josh Cashman's now calling him Drake Parsons after he made Walker Little look very foolish on that blitz. Let's hope he works out, but that would be the one I'd call at least a foul ball.
All right. I like it. Just with the creativity there, Brian. Thank you. I know it's hard when somebody takes what you wanted to say, but we appreciate you adding other options. Okay. So last one, third one, going into extra innings, something that is still yet to be determined, or maybe you're still waiting to see, or the Seahawks just haven't grabbed onto and solidified for this team, Mike.
I want to say too, also, if Brian had took Milroe, if he went before me, that is where I was going as well. So I wouldn't even call that nitpicky, Brian, for what it's worth. It was so obvious. I thought, and I don't even think, that was just so obvious for all the reasons you said. It was one of those where the process was bad. Now the result, it is bad too. And I would guess, Rob, how many guys on your on the thing you trade for, how many of those are inside backers? It's a position that they need.
Well, there was one there. There was, and one with two of them mentioning it. So,
yeah, I mean it's not a surprise. So I say my go into extra innings thing. Okay, this is gonna sound a little nuts, but I think for now it's the Jackson as the one thing for the sample size reason I keep mentioning, because I do think teams can get away with a certain type of guy as the one in the regular season. I do think where that tends to show up more is when you try to go deeper in the playoffs, and the schemes are better. The weather's different in a lot of situations. Other teams have not one corner, because you get some teams like the Seahawks, I think, have benefited from having opponents with one good corner, or in some cases none, like the Saints. And Houston, what they're about to get is a team that's got two, and you get more of the Houstons in the deeper you go into these rounds, or safeties. Seahawks have also played a lot of teams with incompetent safeties. Get a little less of that when you start making deep playoff runs. And we've seen some teams get in the playoffs and oh, you need a number two. We see that quite a bit. One that comes to mind is Philly, actually, in 2021, when they only had Devontae. That was a good year. I think that was Jalen Hurts' first year as a starter. It was good. They made the playoffs, I believe, lost to the Bucks. But it was so obvious that Smitty needed a partner. Now, they went and got someone who was better than him, but the point still remains. Okay, we need two of these, So I think probably could say the Vikings too as well. So it's there's just teams you can see how that can go sometimes. We're all right, we have this guy. We also need this co-star. Not to say Torrey or Coop can't be that, but I have some reservations about it. This Texans game will actually be really important for me in my eval in that. But if you ask me right now, before they play the Texans, that's the thing where I'm this is going well, but will it continue to go well, particularly when they start to play better teams?
I think that's a hard thing, right? In some of these sports, when you have a superstar, you're like, this feels so good. Do I need to be stressed? Like, do I need to be worrying about it? Because it feels awesome, but like we should buckle down and kind of stay humble in a way. But Brian, for you, what is your going into extra innings for the Seahawks right now?
Yeah, I'm going to take one that I think some people would call a straight strikeout. I'm not there yet, so that's why it's extra innings for me, is the right guard and center position. And a lot of folks are like, done, Anthony Bradford, you got to change him out. Jalen Sundell has a bad game against Jacksonville. Can't have him at center. I'm of the mind that one, it's the third youngest starting offensive line in the NFL. It's their first year playing together. First time under this coach. I have seen over the years that of all the position groups, the one that tends to gel and improve with continuity is the offensive line. And in particular, run blocking tends to be the thing. It's like a symphony. Like you have to like conduct the timing of run blocking, and it has to be done in just the right way. And it just takes time for them to figure it out. And they face different fronts and different players. And so while everyone's like, let's kick those guys to the curb. And I'll tell you, if the Seahawks went out tomorrow and made a trade and brought in a veteran guard who's a good player, I wouldn't blink. I'd be like, great, go do that. But I look at this team and I say, I don't care if each individual player is not an all-pro or a Pro Bowler or even above average. I care about, can the offense function? And right now, you've got the number one team in the NFL in average yards per play, like number one. And you have the number one team in a lot of offensive categories. And if the only thing that you need to do is to figure out your run game, I'm okay with that being the thing that they need to keep working on. And for right now, as much as there's individual failures, that is a top 10 team in pressure rate allowed, in sacks allowed, in overall pass block efficiency. I'm okay with that. So that's why for me, I'm willing to let that group grow a little bit more. And I know for a lot of people, they're just done.
Rob, for you, what's your going into extra innings?
Apologies, have any of you guys ever had like a stuck sneeze?
Oh, yeah.
Like I have got a stuck, like the
Look
sneeze.
in the light. Stare in your light. That's the key.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Dead serious. Try it right now on air, live. I'm dead serious though. We're not gonna wait for it, but it is a thing.
Well, if it comes out, I'm just warning you. Like it'll be loud.
We'll toss you on mute.
So my thing is, it's the running game for me. They just, I don't really understand the plan. Like I've not sat down and pored over the all 22 to get a real detailed look as to what maybe not quite working in the games where it hasn't worked. But they seem to have a couple of good outside zone runs, and then the other team just kind of take it away, and then they kind of funnel everything back inside, and then that doesn't really work, and then you kind of just give up on it for a bit, and then maybe later on in the game, if you win in, we'll try and run it to kill the clock. We can't do it, so we'll give the other team a couple of drives to try and get back into this thing. And look, if this team is going to get to where it wants to go, it can't have, I think it was 3 drives in the fourth quarter where you are trying to run the ball, but you're not getting anywhere, and then you're just punting it back to the other team. You've got at least one of those drives. You've got to be able to come down and just beat some guys up front and get some people moved off the line and give your running backs a chance. And I feel as if, in week 1, Ken Walker, in the stadium, Ken Walker was, people were moaning and groaning when he was coming out on the field because Zach Charbonnet was running a little better and everyone was complaining. And now the thing's reversed, and now it's Charbonnet's getting a bit of grief and Ken's doing a little better. But I think both of them just need help. Like to me, it just feels like they're both talented players. Neither of them are getting any help. They've got to work this out, and I think it's going to come with a plan, and it's going to come with just winning more on the line of scrimmage. So that's the thing that and getting healthier is the thing to be determined that will help them drive on.
Yeah, we will see. It is interesting just that we're here after week 6 talking about the running game, because you think back to training camp in the preseason and it was like, okay, K9, like we're going to take care of you. You had a light training camp. We didn't really see him in preseason. You were ready for him to just shoot out of the cannon, right, for the Seahawks this entire season. And really it's been JSN who has really stolen the show. So let's just get to that Jags game. And I know we're cooking here on time, so we'll go a little quick, but the Hawks beat the Jags 20-12, dominant performance, mainly on the defensive front. Clean game for the Seahawks offensively, fireworks in the passing game. And just for this new number 1 wide receiver in the league, I just want to say to the Seahawks fans, you can stand a little bit taller to every other football fan in the league, because yes, you have the true wide receiver 1 in the league. He's reached nearly 700 yards in 6 games, the most by in any 6-week stretch for the Seahawks. So I'd love to just know from you guys, how has JSN been able to have such a breakout season just throughout these 6 weeks, Mike?
Yeah, one, he's really good. So there is that. I think the other thing though is the scheme is working really well, because they have played teams who do have, like I said earlier, a good corner, and that if Jax went up against that dude most of the day, he wouldn't have nearly 700 yards. He'd be playing well, but it wouldn't be that. Like he had, I think, 4 targets against Travis Hunter, maybe fewer, maybe only like 2 or 3. He's their best guy. He didn't go against DeMondre Lenore. I don't know how to say his first name, from the Niners. He didn't go against him that much. If he did, I'm not saying he can't beat him. He can, but the numbers wouldn't look, they're gaudy. Jax's numbers right now. And you look at some of these teams that do have like at least a good guy, and they're doing a good job just making it so he's not just outside the numbers going one-on-one in a phone booth with whoever the number 1 guy is. It's number 27 for the Bucks. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he didn't go against him that much that game either. They benefited from one of their backups being in, I believe, number 25. So that's all scheme stuff, though. It's not that they're running from other teams one for I don't want to put it that way, but they are setting it up so that, his touchdown is a great example. Why try to run a bunch of routes on Travis Hunter when they're throwing in Greg Newsome for the first time? Take a deep shot on him and go score a 60-yard touchdown. That's great. You should do that. That's what good offenses do. You don't just, Patrick Surtain's shadowing the guy, let's just have him run 20 routes against Patrick on 3rd and long. That's stupid. No, you scheme. That's how you scheme up your guys. And I think that's huge. And that's what they're going to have to keep doing against teams, because everyone's got at least a guy who can force a couple of PBUs here and there. And those can be the difference in the game. One of the reasons they didn't score on a drive in the second half, I can't remember, 3rd or 4th quarter, but it was because number 30 on the Jags had 2 incredible PBUs in that game, because he was playing really well. So how do you avoid that? Scheme it up. Get Jax running up some safeties' toes. Get him matched up against some linebackers underneath, whatever. On Cooper Kupp's touchdown, he's in the backfield. The plays for Kupp, but still it speaks to Jax's versatility in the scheme. So I think that's been so huge, on top of just obvious talent that he already has, is that Kubiak is seeing, all right, how are they going to try to stop Jax? Let's do everything we can to counteract that, and it's working like a charm. And again, I think the IDing that Newsome had just come in the game and immediately running a quarters beater on him, that's perfect. That was really emblematic of how they've used Jax in the scheme to, go off these first 6 weeks.
Well, Cooper Kupp also mentioning earlier this week just how impressive it is of what JSN has done, because defenses are preparing for him and they know that it's coming. So I know we still have 11 games left in the regular season, but Rob, do you think JSN can keep up this pace and stay the top wide receiver in the league?
Yes, I think he can. He's fantastic. He's playing brilliantly, and he's getting to that level now where even when I thought, what was interesting was the Arizona game, because he was kept quiet, wasn't he, right until the end. And the broadcasters made mention of the fact that they've been able to keep him quiet. They probably shifted a lot of the focus that we're not going to let him beat us. And yet, at the end of the game, who's the guy making the plays? Even when you scheme to try and take him away, Jackson Smith-Njigba's making big plays. So yes, I think he can. I have a question for everybody, though. I appreciate this might be sort of, British man of 40 asking this question. But the celebration that Jackson Smith-Njigba does, can someone, he kind of does that, They were doing that all season last year in college football. Like the Miami Hurricanes kept doing, is it this or this? Like they kept doing that, and then I was I googled it. Like, what is the celebration? It didn't provide any results. But all the Seahawks seem to be doing this thing now, and I don't understand what it is. So, can somebody help?
Brian, Mike, you got to ask him. Ask him at the pressers.
It's not going to be me that knows that. I'm the 50-year-old man who definitely doesn't know. So
no, I'm with you, Rob. I watched a lot of Cam Ward last year because Coug interest. Same reason why I tried to catch Oklahoma, because they have John Mateer. And I saw it. Yeah, Cam was doing it every time he threw a touchdown, and I actually never found out. So now that you asked, my homie Ben Arthur covers the AFC South for Fox Sports. I will make sure that I'll ask him. He'll probably know, because I'm wondering too. Because I don't know why they were doing it against the Jags. That was weird. They haven't done it as much as they did Sunday against anyone else this year.
It's been preying on my mind for a year. Like, I want to know what this is.
Listen, I've seen it around too, and I feel like since I'm the youngest, I'm the one that has to respond to this because that's how you all have put it out. But I'm going to leave this to the comments, so let us know. Give us the answer to the JSN celebration and what other guys around the league are doing. But I know I do want to talk about the Seattle defense because, man, like what a showing that they had, only giving up 12 points, 7 sacks, 17 QB hits. And if anybody's got a read on how Trevor Lawrence is doing, woke up on Monday morning, like that must have not felt good. I do want to start with the guy, though, that had 2 of those sacks on his own, Byron Murphy. Just, Brian, how have you seen his play evolve throughout his time as a Seahawk?
This is going to come across as kind of crazy to some. I don't know that I see a huge difference between Byron Murphy's play this year versus last year. What I see is opportunity. This is a guy that was very rarely given the opportunity to rush the passer last year. I did a bunch of shows where I was like looking at it, and if you look at the chances he got as a pass rusher last year, he was a top 7 interior defensive lineman rushing the passer last year. He was much more effective than Braden Fisk, who everyone was like, oh man, we really blew it. But he had a fraction of the snaps. And so now you're getting him into many more situations where he's getting to rush the passer. And the difference is less that he's made a change, at least my view of it, and more that the team has both given him the opportunity and given him some 3-tech snaps. So he's not just rushing from the nose tackle spot. He is rushing from the more typical pass rushing position in the 3-tech. So I'm not going to take it all away from Byron that he didn't do anything over the offseason. I know he worked on pass rush. We talked about it. He's done all those things. But I think that the narrative is missing that he was good last year. He just didn't get these opportunities. And so to me, it's a little bit like, this is kind of a stretch, but a little bit like the Cam Chancellor story, like jump. Like, how did he become this great player in year 2? Well, he was a goal line safety that was never on the field because Laura Malloy was there as a rookie. When they got him on the field, he was Cam Chancellor. So I think that's part of what's going on here.
Mike, do you have anything to add just about why you think Byron Murphy is having the success that he's having?
Yeah, I think he's benefiting from circumstance for sure. I was actually trying to look up the pass rush snaps that he's had through 6 games versus 6 full games last year. I'm gonna see if I can get that. But I also think the entire D-line, interior in particular, maybe just outside of a few Leo rushes, is benefiting from coverage sacks. There are a lot of coverage sacks against the Jags. And to do that, you just need, obviously, better play in the secondary. And you need better play at the intermediate level, in particular, like in the middle, where a lot of the answers are for some of these quarterbacks. And that was really bad last year. Like the combination of like a Rayshon, Kayvon, Tyrell, Jerome situation there in the middle was like not good last year for almost half the year. And it just was hard for anybody to get home who wasn't winning very quickly. And it's just hard to do that in the NFL, regardless of how good you are as a pass rusher. So I think some of these sacks that Byron's getting, I don't know how many of them are coverage sacks per se, but I think that's helping quite a bit too, on top of the stuff that Byron mentioned. That Brian mentioned, that he's just getting more ops as well. I think the team around him is playing better, which helps because it takes time to win from where he's winning. They'll look at his sacks against Pittsburgh. Those were not all just straight up one move beat you. It was like tick, 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 tick. Then Rodgers goes down. So I think that's helping him as well.
One thing there, Mike, I don't know if this is a perfect representation, but I did a quick search on this. Through 6 weeks last year, Byron Murphy had 21 pass rush opportunities in true pass sets where it wasn't like a screen pass or a throwaway or, some kind of other quick game kind of thing. So this year, through the same 6 weeks, he's had 73. So, significant difference.
There you go. Teamwork.
Teamwork. We like it. That's why it's the Seahawks Collective. Thank you, Brian. Extra credit for Brian tonight. Rob, I do want to ask you about a guy that Richard Sherman was making social media posts about, that Mike Macdonald finally gets to release Nick Emmanwori. Just this guy who's blown people up, led the team in 9 tackles over the weekend. What does his presence do for the Seattle Seahawks team?
Well, I think the thing that I kind of noticed with it was you just noticed him on the field all the time. He was the player that would often jump off the screen, who was around the ball, who was sort of sprinting towards the ball carrier, who was just constantly there. And I think it's obviously we've seen what a great job Mike Macdonald did with Kyle Hamilton, and he's really settled in. And look, through 2 games, the Seahawks kind of look like they've got their own version. You look at that and you think, yeah, this is really looking good. So I'm really enthused. I mean, when they traded up for him, I thought there was a few things said about, and I'm not going to go into that about him and why he ultimately didn't go in the first round. But when a Mike Macdonald led team traded up as much as they did for Nick Emmanwori, that had to be exciting because they obviously saw something in him. And, this is the coach that's been around Kyle Hamilton. So you do get very excited. To be this good two games in is hinting at something special here. So let's hope he can stay healthy. Let's hope he can stay on the field and get over this little injury that he's got, because the future looks very bright and they need him out there. They really need him because they've been banged up. Some of the guys like Josh Jobe, who started the season very well, and not played quite as well. So you need players on the second and third level to make some plays here. And he looks like, if this is what he's doing after 2 games, imagine what he'll be doing after 8. So I can't wait to see how this is going to develop.
Every time Mike Macdonald gets asked about him, he starts singing his praises and like this and this. And you can tell he's like getting riled up. After like 3 compliments, he immediately reels himself back in and says, well, this is what he can do better. And this is how he can continue to play our brand of Seahawks football. So you can definitely tell that not only are probably Seahawks fans excited about him, but Mike Macdonald is definitely excited about him. Guys, before we move on, do either of you, Brian or Mike, have any just comments or what you've seen from Nick Emmanwori?
I'm curious. I almost just have a question for Mike. If he's a little surprised by how sound Nick's played, because during training camp, he made a lot of interceptions, but they weren't necessarily like, I thought they were a little bit fortunate that a ball got tipped to him or he happened to be in the right place. And I wasn't necessarily seeing a lot of indicators that he was going to be a good player right away. I actually was thinking more like this could be a little bit problematic for his rookie year, but I thought he's looked very solid through his first 2 games. I'm curious, Mike, if you had the same read going in, and if you have the same read that he's been better than you expected to start.
Yeah, I think that he reminded me a little bit of Jamal, where it's like if you put whatever his assignment is in front of him and he has to go forward to handle it, he'll be fine. It was in college where it's like if he has to feel some stuff behind him or just turn and run, it's like, okay, this could get dicey. And you saw a little bit of that in the Bucks game too, where it's like, oh wait, why is there no hook defender? Nick's not there, So I was a little worried about that. Saw it in the Bucks game, but the Jags game, and I just finished actually watching all of Nick's snaps for a story I'm writing now. That felt more like, okay, this is how they should use Nick. Keep everything in front of him. It's like that's why he had 9 tackles. It's like it wasn't anything. I think everything, it was him going forward. It was the TFLs that blew up a screen. I think maybe 2 screens. Like that part, I think is about what I expected. I was upset he wasn't playing because I needed him. I feel like the team needed him to get out there and just mess up, just blow some stuff, which he did a couple times against the Bucs. And I feel like he was smart enough to say, all right, cool. Now that you saw, Nick, you did that. Don't do it again. And he did that against the Jags. Also think just he tackled really well. That showed up quite a bit. And that you feel like, to Rob's point, they really need that tackling, without Spoon, because Spoon's best attribute probably is his tackling. Very, very good tackler, very strong, can body slam guys. And that's where Nick is really helping them right now. There's a few plays on Sunday where it's like, if Nick doesn't make that, they don't get a 3rd and long. Or if Nick doesn't make that, it's a 1st down. I'm glad Mike McDonald called that out on the radio. I think he referred to it as hidden yardage, which is however he wants to put it. Yes, he's correct. So yeah, I'm not totally surprised, especially since I feel like he got a lot of the "Hey Nick, you messed up" plays out against the Bucs.
Well, it's exciting and just to know the games that he has missed, right? So that the more Seahawks football to evaluate and see him on. But just being back in Seattle that I was last week for the 50th celebration, I got to be around the Legion of Boom, Cam Chancellor, Richard Sherman. Like it all kind of had me remembering just the persona that they created and what they became known for in Seattle. And so now that you guys have, had time to see this Seahawks really play a stellar defensive game and passing or rushing the passer without even blitzing and just really sound defense and rookies that are showing up. When do you think you'll be able to name this Mike McDonald defense? Maybe it's not obviously Legion of Boom, but I would love to know, like, when are you giving them a name? When are you going to term them with something, Rob?
Well, I think we should let Jaron Reed pick the name. Because I do enjoy Jaron Reed, and when the little video came of him they did the locker room speech with Mike McDonald, and he was talking about like running and hitting, wasn't he, and all of that, and then he kind of asked Jaron Reed what did they do, and obviously with this being a family show, I won't repeat it word for word, but he said run an F and hit and play physical as F. And then Mike McDonald just threw back to him, and he wasn't laughing. He was like, "That's what we did," and I just loved that. I just love that bit of like, a bit of alpha in Jaron Reed, isn't there? There's kind of like a bit of something there that's like that's when you're talking about the LOB, that's kind of what you're seeing a bit of that with Jaron Reed. So I'm all for letting. I don't know if Jaron Reed is the kind of person who wants to name a defense. I've never, I have no idea. He might just sort of go away if you suggested him to come up with a nickname, but. That's the kind of person that I want setting the tone up front, and I think he does.
I love that clip from him post game. But Brian, when do you feel like this defense will maybe be able to say who exactly they are?
Well, I think it's worth kind of remembering how that Legion of Boom name came to be. First of all, it was not right away that they got that moniker, and 2, I think Richard Sherman was on an interview with Brock and Salk, and they read some user names, and he's like, "Oh, I like that one," and that's like that. It got taken back to the team, and it like just took off from there. So who's
it going to be on the Seahawks Collective tonight? Let us know in the comments. We would love to be able to raise our flag and say that was our show.
I will say this, AB. I'm not there yet with this defense. I love the defense. I love where it's going, but I'd love to see actually some of the best players on the field for more than one game. Would be nice. I'd like to see them collectively play multiple good games in a row. I'd like to see them actually take down a great offense. And, we're just a week removed from them getting dismantled by Baker Mayfield. And yes, they were missing a lot of guys, but I'm telling you, the LOB team, they had some bad games. But part of the Legion aspect of that is you could go, Byron Maxwell was sitting on the bench, Walter Thurman and sometimes was sitting on the bench. They went deep on all levels of that defense. And so I'd like this team to actually, and this defense to show their personality and earn a name representing that. I just don't think we've had enough yet. So I'm not there yet personally.
Yeah, they were more like the Legion of Room last week, weren't they?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm with Brian. Though, for what it's worth, on the name, having just written a book about this, it's fresh in my mind. So what happened was they were on with Wyman and Bob, although I think they had another they had more people at the time, like Graz, Bob, and so the show had a different name back then on 710. But Cam he was talking about how he had shed weight in the offseason, but still wanted to be able to bring the boom. And his use of the word boom is when fans started to send in suggestions on the text line or whatever, and those were brought to, I think it was like Temple of Boom and some other ones, Legion of Boom, obviously. And Browner was on the next day, and then they read those to Browner, and he was like, "I like Legion of Boom. Let's go with that." So that's how, and then it was. But I think they need like a signature moment or win or something. I don't remember. There wasn't one that really did it for them, that Legion of Boom back then. Although you can maybe use like the Patriots game, perhaps the You Mad Bro, if you want to pick any of those Niners, just butt kickings on prime time. But they just need one of those. I think a play would be nice, a moment, a game, whatever. That would be cool. And my guess on who will say it will be Ernest. I think Ernest is that type of guy who he embraces that type of stuff. He actually tried to do it last year. I think the Death Zone was what he was spitballing last year. So it wouldn't surprise me if he either says it or sees something on social media and like
on the
retweets
Seahawks
it or
Collective,
something.
let's just start saying that and make it the thing. Make it the norm.
I think we
People
gotta
are
wait.
really looking here. Listen, we gotta wait for the signature moment, or just for that identity to really be formed, so that Mike can write another book, right? Like at the end of the day, we're just trying to get another book, right, Mike?
That would be great. Although I would wait till my children are older now, because trying to do that during paternity leave, no bueno. But yeah, looking at the schedule, like maybe their next primetime game after this, maybe. I think they got the Commanders on a Sunday night. Maybe that it'd be nice to maybe get the name after you beat a team led by Bobby. Hey, go with that for when you get your nickname.
Hey, we'll see. But before we get to all things Hawks versus Houston, I just want to ask you guys, because like the players are preparing for a Monday Night Football game, you three eat, sleep, breathe Seahawks, okay? So I know for Rob, his schedule is always staying up till 6 a.m. watching U.S. sports over here. But for Brian and Mike, how does this Monday Night Football game affect your own lifestyle and your own football regimen?
Oh, man. I'm AB. I'm an old man. I've always been an old man, even when I was 24. And I'm in bed by like 8:45, and I'm asleep by like 9:30. Like, so this is going to be rough. And getting into downtown Seattle on a weekday, I mean, I can't complain that much because the East Coast and the UK fans are going to be much more impacted. But I hate the 7 p.m. start, man. Give me 5 p.m. for sure.
Yeah, I'm with Rob, or excuse me, why I keep messing everybody's name up today. I'm with Brian on that, mostly because of the small children thing. But I do like, though, no matter what time the game is, playing on Monday, so I just get multiple weekend days at the house. That's nice, So I get Saturday not off because I'll be at the VMAC, but still, once I get the injury report on Saturday afternoon, I'm going home and watching the Cougs that has beat Virginia, and then Sunday, me and my recliner are just gonna have a day, with my daughter too and my son. But I just sit there and just do nothing. So that's gonna be great. And then it does feel like I was like, man, they had a lot of momentum. I was thinking coming off the Jags game, and then they gotta wait like all this time for their next like big moment. But it's like I don't even know if people are gonna even remember that the Monday night game is on, depending on what the Mariners do. Like if this week and weekend goes well for the Mariners, man, that Monday night game will feel like such a second fiddle around here, man. Like that in a good way, though. I think that'd be great. But otherwise, I just like the fact that the game's on Monday, so I just get a weekend to just do nothing, hang out with the kiddos.
Let's just acknowledge one thing real quick: the World Series is happening during the Seahawks bye week. That is excellent.
Wow, that's right.
Whole World Series will happen.
Stars are aligning. It's looking good in Seattle. Come on. Super exciting. But I do love to know, just because you guys are on the grind as well, covering this team and getting the fans ready for the games. But before we get to Houston versus Seahawks, I do want to share our sponsor for the season. Yes, it worked. Let's go. That was my one thing of today. Sleeper app. We are so excited to have them with us this season. Take a look at this quick video.
Sleeper is the #1 fantasy sports app. It pays to know sports. Pick more or less on top players. Your first pick is on us, so start winning now. Play in Texas, Georgia, Minnesota, and 27 more states. Pick anytime across all sports, pregame or live. Over 10 million players are already on Sleeper. Make your picks count. Score up to 1,000 times your cash. Join today. Get up to $100 credit using the code HMA. Call your shot on Sleeper. Download now.
We are so excited to have the Sleeper app with us because, like our collective, it offers it all. News alerts, live scores, stats, updates, and real-time chat with others, and you will have the ability to win real money. So check out the #1 sports app today and try it out for yourself. Use promo code HMA, and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. So check out Sleeper app today. We're so pumped to have them with us this season. And we're also excited for what we mentioned earlier. Hawks on primetime, Monday Night Football against the Houston Texans. So let's get right to it because time's a ticking. Seahawks are 1-2 at home, so struggling at Lumen Field. But deep down, you guys, I just have this feeling. I'm like, the 12s, the place that the Seahawks get to call home, cannot be the place that you just count a loss for the Seahawks. I feel like the tide is turning for the Seahawks here at home, and that we can really snap that storyline that they are not a home team just for you guys in your own eyes. Maybe Rob, say they do win on Monday Night Football on Lumen Field. Do you think that breaks this storyline and we won't be talking about the home losses anymore?
No. They're going to have to win a bit more than this one game, but they bloody better win this game because it starts at 3:00 in the morning. So I've had to book a day off work the next day. Typically, I will go to the gym and train on a Tuesday morning. I'm probably going to have to stick that in the bin because I mean, we're going to be go to bed at like 8 a.m. So yes, my kids will probably come and wait. Well, they won't wake me up. They'll come and go, "Why are you here?" Because they'll want to watch the TV. But the game will not be finished, and I'll be like ushering them out, like, "Go away!" Like it's probably
What show are you competing with them? What show will be competing?
Oh my gosh, you really don't know the rubbish that they watch. So I didn't even know this. Like, have you ever heard of? Is it Sam and Cat with Ariana Grande?
Yeah, like from when I was like 12. Why is that still running?
My daughter watches that every day.
It's a good show.
So there's that, and then there's all the nonsense on kids' YouTube and stuff. You know, Mike, you've got this to look forward to. So yeah, but they're not going to win that battle because it's my TV. So
listen, you're stealing like footballs that are thrown to the kids in the stands. You're stealing the TV. Rob's got no problem taking.
I'm a horrible person. But no, I think it's going to take a bit more. But I'm going to be positive for the game. I think the Seahawks are going to win. I think that the challenge will be the defense for the Texans is going to be tougher than probably. I'm trying to think, it's probably the toughest defense they've faced. So CJ Stroud's just kind of gone off the boil a bit, hasn't he? And I'm going to back the Seahawks to win a close game and get us all get me more excited than I should be at 7:00 in the morning.
Well, we hope that is the case. So, Brian, for you, what's the main key to success for the Seahawks in this game?
Hey, B, I thought you of all people would already know. I need Rob to send me a picture of his lucky.
We broke but remember we broke it with Rob saying, "Oh, what was it with the hydro?" You were saying, you just said it. You were like,
"Oh, but that was
today's going to be the day."
I don't know. That was a Mariners thing.
Oh, it doesn't cross over. Okay.
I don't know if it crosses over.
All Seattle sports?
Like, Rob, I expect you to take a picture of that and send it to me. That is absolutely.
There it is.
I will ask Mike McDonald and the guys in the locker room.
Everyone watching the show, screenshot it. Make it your screensaver for this entire week of Seattle sports.
So, no, I mean, look, I am not as far into my game prep for this game as I will be tomorrow. But looking at these two teams, this is going to be maybe the toughest defense the Seahawks go up against for what the Seahawks are. It's strength against strength, what the Seahawks are good at versus what the Texans are good at. They have two great edge rushers. They've got a good interior rusher. They've got multiple good corners. I'm really eager to see that matchup. When you flip it to the other side, the Seahawks pass rush should be able to destroy this offensive line. It's not nearly as good of an offensive line as even the Jaguars are rolling out there. And Nico Collins, though, is a legit player. and a legit receiver. So the Seahawks, if they can do what they do on defense, stop the run, and they're going to have to held that level standard of pass rush week in, week out. Then I think this can be a low scoring game. And I think the Seahawks should have a bigger advantage when they have the ball versus when the Texans have the ball. But, this is a team coming off a bye week, and they've got a really good quarterback and a really good receiver and some really good players. So I don't think this is a walk in the park by any stretch. We need the ball is very clear.
Mike, what stands out to you when you're getting ready to watch this game?
Yeah, I have a lot of friends that cover the Texans. So they're one of those teams that I read a lot about. That's like not a Seahawks team, a regular opponent. The Browns are another one. So are the Lions. So I'm very familiar with the Texans, and I'm really high on D'Amico Ryans as a defensive mind. He reminds me a lot of Mike McDonald, and what they're both really good at is they find out what you are good at as an offense, and they just make you have to fight left-handed. And they'll trick you, they'll bait you. Like D'Amico has made some really good quarterbacks just look just awful. Just some really bad games. Even the playoffs, like we did to Herbert. Even like a mid-tier quarterback like Flacco was in that 2023 season. Look what they did in that playoff game. It was awful. It was awful. Destroyed them. So I think that's what worries me a little bit is the headset matchup here is D'Amico versus Clint. Clint's been good. He's been really good. I won't sell him short. D'Amico's probably one of the best though, in terms of just scheming. Him and Mike, it's probably a matchup of the two of the best defensive minds in the league. Throw Brian Flores and Spags in there too. Like this is good on good. So this will be like this is a big eval for me going into the bye week on Kubiak. Like he's played some good minds already. Sala is a good mind. As well. Even Brandon Staley's a good mind, Saints. So he's done it. This one I think is the best one though. So I need to see the Seahawks put up some points and be able to still be good at the things they've been good at. Because D'Amico is cooking right now and trying to take those away. I can guarantee you that.
And to your point, Mike, he spoke earlier today, actually, just on JSN and how explosive he is, whether he's being covered tightly or not. And that he's going to have a game plan, even though he's saying, yeah, it's going to be a huge challenge. It'll be a big test for us. D'Amico Ryans is going to have a plan for JSN and the Seahawks offense. But before we end, I just want to see if there's anything to keep an eye on from each of you. Rob, anything going on with your channel?
Today I wrote 2,000. It's not finished yet. 2,000 words complaining about how the draft media have covered the 2026 draft class. So it's a great big moan by me. So you can all look forward to reading that bundle of joy on Thursday.
Bundle of joy. Love it. Love knowing those. I love that. Mike, anything from you?
Yeah, multiple things. I'm working on an article right now as soon as we get done on some of the guys that play well on Sunday. I got a JSN story in the works that should, along the lines of like my Ernest Jones story that ran before the Bucks games, one of the longer human interest type things that should run Monday morning, I believe, depending on what our analytics team says is best, either that or a Friday release. We're going to have one of my friends that I just mentioned, DJ Bienemy, on the Seahawks Man to Man podcast. He covers the Texans for ESPN, does a great job. He will be on with us on Wednesday to drop Thursday. So I'm cooking a lot of stuff this week. Also, as always, buy my book. Shout out to the two fans. Shout out to Kyle, who came to my hotel in Jacksonville and bought a book for his brother.
Nice.
And then shout
Kyle.
out to Zach, who met me outside the press box and bought a book for himself in Jacksonville. Yeah. So I got him in person. I always have books on me in my backpack. So and in my trunk of my car. So if you find me, you can buy a book straight from me. I appreciate the love.
Buy a book, support it so that Mike can write a sequel for Mike McDonald's defense. We would absolutely love that. Brian, what's going on for you this week?
Yeah, I can attest. Mike's got the quads of a guy that walks around with a bunch of books in his backpack. I mean, yeah. So, no joke. DJ is going to be on with me tomorrow morning. So he's double booked. He's going to talk a lot of Seahawks. Looking forward to that. And so I'll do that 7 a.m. tomorrow morning Pacific time, and then going to probably have some more Mariners coverage. We'll have Real Hawk Talk on Thursday instead of Wednesday, and I'll have my tail of the tape article probably tomorrow morning, unless I get super crazy and decide to do it tonight, but I think I'm going to do some family time the rest of the night. So I will have all that up for you guys tomorrow. Yeah, lots of good stuff coming.
Lots of good stuff coming. And the Seahawks under the lights on Monday night on Lumen Field, taking on CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans. Thank you all for watching this week's Seahawks Collective. I'm Annabelle Hasselbeck, and it is going to be a sleepless in Seattle after this week. So go Seahawks, go Mariners, go Seattle sports. We'll see you all next week.